Hello, and welcome to today's webcast, Cloud Economics, Successfully Navigate Your Journey to the Cloud, brought to you by your Insight Microsoft commercial team. My name is Blair Loveland, your Microsoft Readiness Specialist at Insight, and I will be your moderator for today. Before we begin, I wanted to cover a few housekeeping items. This webcast is designed to be interactive between you and the presenters. The webcast console you're looking at can be completely customized. You can resize or move any of the windows that you have open. If you have any questions during the webcast, you can click on the Q&A widget at the bottom and submit your question. All questions from this webcast will be captured, and there will be a Q&A during the last few minutes of the presentation. Now, if you're experiencing any technical difficulties, please visit the webcast help guide by clicking on the question mark icon below the presentation window. The help guide covers common technical issues. I would now like to turn this presentation over to our presenter, Vanessa Jensen. Vanessa, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Blair. Well, welcome, everybody. My name is Vanessa Jensen. I'm Insight's Cloud Economics Program Manager. And as we'll see here today, we want to discuss the transformation in the cloud and at what cost, and understanding cloud economics as a whole. When we're thinking about cloud economics, what we want to discuss is the financial pieces pertaining to your cloud journey, your cloud plan, what your current position is, whether you're currently within the cloud and you're looking at controlling costs, optimization, reducing those costs, or you're in a position where you're on premise. Your data center is still physically there. We're looking at a transformation of how we can there optimize what your current situation is looking like. Is the cloud going to be a financial benefit for you? How can you control those costs, and what potentially would they look like as you transform into the cloud? No matter where you're at within your cloud journey, cloud economics can financially support you into understanding the different analytics, the new profiling, the new financial modeling, and how we can help you understand some further cost control mechanisms. So within our Cloud Economics program, we have a variety of ways that we can support you depending on where you're at within your cloud journey. Most of our cloud economics assessments do start with one as a preparation model, scoping into what's your current position and your current plans, and then looking into what strategy can we help you. The effective of the near term now, midterm, maybe that future state within a year, and the long term, maybe a potential 3-year plan for you. Within our cloud economics assessments, we do a collection. So whether you're in the cloud or you're on premise, we can provide you a data collection tool to understand the consumption of your virtual machines that would be in the cloud or your on-premise machines to understand their utilization points. So there are reductions that we can look at within your compute, within your IOPS, and any of those standardization pieces to look at how can you reduce that for the best fit without causing any workload functionality, having its best optimization, but also looking at what is the most financially effective and cost-effective profiling that we can build out to you within our analytics. And our analytics are a playbook to give you different variety of options of how the cloud could be a best fit for you, like I did say, whether in the cloud or on-premise. So what we like to play out into those profiles for your virtual machines potentially within the cloud, looking at the cost models of the new profiles that are available that might be best fit for you, and the new regions that are available and the best fit for you in a variety of cloud pieces. So reserved instances, 1 year, 3 year, reducing the powered on time of those virtual machines within the cloud as well. When we're looking at different profile and provisioning, it's going to be a case by case. Not all workloads will have the same functionality. Not all workloads will have the necessary needs that might be pertaining to a certain section of, say, SQL servers versus application servers. So when we're looking at that cost-effective way, it will be by the workload's functionality as well as what your cost spend can potentially be for helping you format and plan of what is that best fit. And licensing does come into the situation when we're talking about cost control and the financial modeling. So weighing the benefits of your current licensing or no licensing that you might have as you're bringing into the cloud journey. What is the benefit of utilizing your current Windows licensing, your current SQL licensing, and bringing that to the cloud for reducing compute costs for your virtual machines? Is that a play that can be balanced? What we do is we do a financial weighing of that for you to give you an exact point for that position. Is it going to be my benefit or not? It is a common question that we come into. Are Azure hybrid use benefits, meaning bringing my Windows or SQL software assurance to reduce my compute costs for my virtual machine within Azure, is that to my benefit? It's always a case by case, depending on how large of a workload we're looking at or how many we're looking to attribute for that Azure hybrid use benefit rate. Then again, looking at, should I have the pay-as-you-go model to a good benefit too? There's also going to be some license pieces of how do you want to pay for your cloud, or what is your current cloud payment looking like? There are options where you can get further savings, such as looking at the Insight CSP model and getting reduced discounts of working with our elevated tier service accounts. So to see what education brought to you per that license model, can the discounts be to your benefit? How can that future state help you with the different planning options? So within our cloud economics program, to retouch on too, the analytics will dive into a lot of different formatting of how this is going to work for your environment, the current position, as well as that future state. We have common questions about what to do with out-of-support servers. They're no longer receiving their security updates. For Windows servers or for SQL servers, can you move them to the cloud? Is there something preventing you from moving them to the cloud, such as a legacy application and put onto that server? What we can do within our assessment is help you modify. Is it going to be able to move as a virtual machine as is into the cloud, but still having cost reductions based off of some other provisions that we can detail to you from our tool analytics, as well as our playbooks that we do provide to you for cost savings? Or do you want to transform that into a full new virtual machine? Maybe not even a virtual machine. Maybe you're looking at platform as a service for further optimization. Looking into, are you ready for that position to move it and migrate it? Are you looking at for maybe a future optimization for PaaS opportunities later on? We want to help you make sure you're doing the best information for your current position, as well as helping you plan for what those future states could be before you're ready to migrate or optimize anything as well. So this does reduce a lot of redundancies that we do see, so consolidation efforts, whether that be on-premise as well as in the cloud. We do see that with technology evolution, it's constantly changing every couple months, every year, every 3 years. Looking back, there's new regions available, there's new profiles available, as well as what you moved into the cloud at that necessary time can now further be optimized to reduce costs by 20%, whether it's looking at new profiling options, reserved instance options. Reducing hours means the workloads are not necessary on for 24/7, or maybe looking at just that PaaS opportunity for further optimization scaling into it, outside of those specific pieces. So when we do look at those financial modelings, that is part of the value of the cloud economic assessment, but also part of the detailed structure of what is your current position and how does this currently work within that. So our cloud economics program has a variety of tiers. Not all are going to be applied for your current position. It is allowing you to know which is my best option, how can I bring this to play for my current review, and then how can I push this into an effectiveness for my next steps. So our whole cloud economics program has a variety of scoping options where we can help support you into it. So like we did say, your current data center on-premise, your SQL, out of support, end of support for your hardware, for those servers, or for even your software. You have upcoming contracts. How can you optimize and reduce those as part of a new position within the cloud, or just your current position to reduce current costs? No matter the contract, no matter the evolution, there could be something new and available that hasn't been spoken to that we can help define, and then also helping you look at further cost reductions. So within our cloud economics program, there is more than just an Azure review. We can do other reviews for cloud options such as AWS or GCP. And weighing those options of, is it going to be inclusive where I want everything within one cloud or multiple cloud options? Perfectly acceptable. What we want to share with you is what's the most cost effective, as well as what's going to be the best benefit for you depending on these workloads, that how they will be fit and how they will be modified, right? Some additional questions that we do commonly want to tier into. How do I know if my workloads are going to be compatible? When we have our analysis based off of some of these tools, we want to see if the tooling will show all of the dependencies or application inputs, and then also taking your real-life information to transcribe some of the data position into that playbook as we mentioned. So looking at SAP servers, file servers, and how can that transformation further optimize? Is this ready? Is this consumption going to be effective enough for me to modify and move it to the cloud? If it's already within the cloud, the cost spend might be high, so how can we help reduce that, looking at those analytics as well? So a variety of those compatibility measures are helpful in understanding before your transition, your current transition, as well as that future state once it's within the cloud, and helping to reduce those further ongoing costs. I do like to review as a case-by-case. Everyone's scenario would be different depending on their questions and commonalities. In our Cloud Economics program, we have a variety of people here who can help and support you, as well as give you further education just per call. So we do encourage you to reach out to our cloudeconomics@insight.com alias, or if you prefer just to reach out to me one-on-one, we can help scale and see if this is a good fit for you. With cloud economics, there could be a variety of education pieces you might want to start out with. If you're not ready for the cloud, you want to see those total cost options before you make a decision, providing it to the different executive levels to help prepare, possibly see if this is going to be something you can put within budget. Or, like I did say, if you're already within the cloud, there's been too much consumption, you see these costs are elevating, how can we help limit them? How can we help refine those as it would be a best fit as well? So our Cloud Economics program is here to support you, whether you're currently in the cloud or you're looking at that on-premise motion, but it's all about the cloud journey and how can we support you with the economics of where your journey can come into. So from here, I like to give an open forum for any questions that might be here on the floor. I can't quite tell if we do have anything within the Q&A. Blair, do we have any questions to open up the format?
All right, thank you. So there are a couple questions here. One, I think you already answered earlier. How do you know if your workloads are compatible? So I don't know if you would like to revisit that one or just recap that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. To recap that, so for how to know if your workloads are compatible, that's something that our tool will help you with, and we do scope into if the tool is proper. We have alternative tools that we can provide and scope into that with it as well. Looking at the position of its inventory as a first foremost. So what is its structure? What's its operating system, whether it's Windows and or Linux or something other? We want to see its base as well as the applications in use that are on there. Looking into our additional support team to see if we can also show some application or server dependency to make sure what we move, everything that is applied to it should and would be moved as well. Smaller servers are typically going to be into that compatibility for easier moves. Larger scale servers, such as SAP servers, can have more complexity. And when we do define that, it is a case by case. But what we want to do is provide you the tooling expertise and not just a conversation point to give you an example of what we do see there. So we give you the knowledge with the data sets. We give you the education of where we're seeing the format and how it could be and would be, or possibly is not the best fit right now for that transformation. So we will help you and educate you on that decision before you make that decision of the cloud journey for that specific workload or compatibility if it is.
Awesome, thank you. And we have another question here. Can you explain the Azure hybrid use benefit, and does that enter into a cloud economics engagement?
Yes, absolutely. So Azure hybrid use benefit is also known as AHUB. Absolutely, it is part of every cloud economics engagement if you want it to be applied. We do ask questions about your current license position and where that currently would be at. So if you're one of our agreements you have signed with Insight, we can verify if you have software assurance for those Windows servers, for those SQL servers that you would have, and seeing how much and where we can apply that for those Azure hybrid use benefits. So the Azure hybrid use benefit would be understanding, can I bring this license for further cost reduction for my virtual machine compute assignment, or can I not? Is this going to be to my benefit? It is almost a case-by-case scenario. The more you put within the cloud, if you have active software assurance and you want to attribute it and have it follow you to the cloud, it might be to your benefit. If you have a smaller environment, it is worth your option to weigh, do I want to invest into this now, or should I have a different structure of how my licensing should be paid for within the cloud option? So pay as you go versus the Azure hybrid use benefit, and looking at, is this going to be to my cost-effective future, and then my future state plan of how I want to have these follow along, and how can that control my cost spend in the future. We do weigh those options for every client. We do ask about Azure hybrid use benefit. We do have, in all of our assessments, we have note sections within our playbooks. We have an FAQ section to give direct Microsoft knowledge in their reading material per their legal language about it. But we also give you the one-on-one education per each workload, per each server of how that would fit, because you can do multiple options where you would have it applied and where you wouldn't. So having it for SQL servers would be to a benefit for, say, SQL Enterprise, AHUB rights to get that drastic discount. It might not always be for regular Windows servers or certain workloads like file servers. So we'll help weigh those options out for you. Are there other questions we can open the floor to?
Yeah, we've got a couple here in the queue here. And there's another one is, why is sizing my data center server so important, or data center servers so important before I move to the cloud?
It's a great question, and we do have this one quite commonly. So understanding the server's configuration would be different than how it's being used. So giving a little background into that. The server's configuration, you're always giving it more than what necessarily would be needed there as an on-premise. And that's not meaning just the operating system as a newer operating system or older operating system. It's meaning that CPU, that virtual CPU, its RAM, its different analytics of their IOPS and storage capacities as you build the server. You always give it more than what's needed so you do not have any latency internally. When you're moving it to the cloud, you don't want to move it as that original setting that you created it as. So say 2 virtual CPU and 8 GB of RAM for a smaller server. It might not be using all of that RAM. And what our tools can define for us is, what is that exact usage? Can that be limited? Because that's where one of your cost savings will come into for your cloud format and planning, reducing the RAM to only what's needed. Now, if you're moving that to the cloud and you define that you're going to add more workloads or more consumption to that server, you can absolutely scale up when you move it to the cloud. Say for a SQL server, You have limited what its virtual CPU and RAM would be because you did the analytics. And you have it within the cloud. You're seeing that you're going to add more to the SQL Server. It is easy for you to upscale that as well once it's in the cloud, if that happens to be the chance. But our tools are very exact. It does a monitoring expertise, and what we see is the highs and lows, the peaks through the day-to-day, and then over a period of time of how we let it run to see what the actual usage of that server would be to give you that refinement of what would be for the cost scenario. So usually we can cut costs about 50% just based off of that analytic. And then when we're looking at different compute options or, how's that virtual machine's consumption going to be paid for within the cloud, when we look at that, we can also look at even more savings depending on how you want to pay for it within the cloud. So that's a great question.
Awesome. Thank you, Vanessa. So another question here. Looks like I've looked into and am considering CSP for both my email and Azure. Is doing a cloud economics still a first good step?
Absolutely. So I'm going to go back here one step to this variety slide here, showing the different service options it can and support. So for your 365, if you're looking at your workplace, so for your user format, CSP is a definite position for you. Our Insight CSP program does provide you different discounts of what you can receive for your current position. So having a cloud economics engagement absolutely would help. As you see within that middle tier, your 365 profiling, understanding your current position. So in the past year and a half, roughly, we've had a lot of clients that moved quickly into the cloud for their 365, for their server formatting. And with different changes from work from home, with some changes where people are finally going back to the office, the profiling will be changing again. You do want to do a health check on that. Are they needing this extended higher availability for the profiling? Can they have a different profile into effectiveness? So kind of doing that pick and playbook of the worker, how the workers are being utilized within your environment, and is it proper profiling matching to their usage case? Or looking at the higher elevated Microsoft suites for further discounts based off of the different 365 pick and choose that you can do. For the server CSP, when you're looking at that, it's the same case scenario. Last year, we had a lot of clients quickly move to the cloud, and we have many clients coming back to us for further optimization. It means they quickly move their servers. They might have moved them too quickly, so they didn't further optimize anything, or maybe they did the virtual machine, and now they want to have a reconstruction for maybe that 20 to 30% reduction in cost spend by changing it to a platform as a service instead of infrastructure as a service. Very common. But our CSP program is going to be a great benefit because that's how you want to pay for the cloud consumption and receiving a discount by just being a CSP client on top of it. So thank you for that question. Is there another one that we can support on to?
Yeah, look at the last one here, unless some folks have some more questions. Let's see here. If I'm on AWS and considering a move to Azure for my Microsoft workloads, will a cloud economics, I guess that's cloud economics assessment, show me the potential savings or costs?
Absolutely. So if you're in GCP, AWS, or Azure and you're looking at another cloud, you would want to do a cloud assessment. So cloud economics will help you with that. Within your AWS tenant that you do have, we can work with you in looking at what your current provisionings would be, so your profilings for those virtual machines. And we can see what that would look like within Azure as a like by like, as well as we can look at, some optimization if you do want to transfer as well. It's a very common request that we do have, just as a potential understanding, is this cloud option going to be a better fit for me? And we do request into working with you on understanding how are these workloads, or is there any functionality surrounding that. So our tools can actually help understand your current cloud position, we can do a sizing within there. If we can't use that tool or you prefer to just look at your current tenant, we can build our cloud economics playbook off of that as well. I would encourage you to reach out to our alias, and we can set up a one-on-one to give you some education to see if you want to go into a full-blown cloud economics assessment to help you support that analysis a little further within a playbook. So looking at your current consumption within your AWS and then what that would look like within Azure to see if that is going to be to your benefit and which one would be the most cost effective. We also have a variety of service groups here within Insight that can help you with that transition if that happens to be the way you want to go following a cloud economics assessment.
Awesome, thank you. Yeah, that's some good questions. So thank you, audience, for your great questions. I don't see any more in the Q&A widget box, so we'll just give it a last little short bit here. If there are any other questions, please drop them into the Q&A box. Otherwise, I do believe Vanessa has her slide up here where you can, if you do have questions after the webinar, you can please contact the Cloud Economics team at cloudeconomics@insight.com or vanessa@vanessas.jensen@insight.com. So still no more questions in the box. We've answered everything. So we do appreciate everyone for attending today. And please keep in mind, this is a webinar series, so you should have received your invite from your Insight account executive that does have our webinar series each month through the rest of the calendar year. So we do hope that you found this insightful and enjoyable and sign up for our upcoming episodes as well. And aside from that, Vanessa, any closing comments?
I thank you all for the time today, and as Blair did say, please reach out to one of our aliases, or if you'd like to reach out to your Insight representative to help set up a meeting, we will definitely do a meeting with you to see if we can help you and support you within our cloud economics program, and then any obvious education that we can provide to you as well.
Awesome. Thank you, Vanessa, and thank you everyone for joining us today, and we hope to see you again soon.